Akshaya Patra is a program which is a midday meal program that started in India in the year 2000. It got started in Bangalore with devotees from the ISKCON temple who really believed that feeding hungry people is a very noble thing to do. But then they said, well, let's feed hungry children in school, because then you're not only feeding hungry people, but you're also educating people. And if you educate one child in a poor family, that changes the economics and the dynamics of the whole family. So they started off feeding very few people, just a few thousand, and slowly over the course of time they found that it has a huge amount of impact on these children in terms of their ability to come to school, learn things with a full stomach.
So I had gotten involved with Akshaya Patra in 2011 when I first visited the Hubli kitchen in the visit that I made to Hubli with the Deshpande Foundation. And I was really amazed by the whole production, by the quality of the food, how many children were getting served. And I was at the time running a nonprofit in Lowell, Massachusetts, and got involved with the Deshpande Foundation there. So to see how children's lives could be transformed for basically 5 cents from a donor to keep them in school, keep them well nourished, healthy, and educated, really transformed my experience of going to India for the first time, and I became a donor to Akshaya Patra at that time.
We have been told that you have been active with Akshaya Patra since the chapter started here in Boston. So my first question is that what really got you involved with Akshaya Patra?
We like the organization because it has a particular cause. It helps the kids in India, and we can touch lives of so many kids who are both hungry and education deprived. Just by donating some amount to Akshaya Patra, we thought we could give a chance for these kids to reach their full potential and be able to do something in life in future.
What you have learned from Akshaya Patra?
From what I have learned from Akshaya Patra is it is a very well-run organization. I feel that such organizations are needed in the world so that they bring about good to all people and do something really nice for people who are deserving but are not able to do it on their own.
How Akshaya Patra has enriched your life?
Akshaya Patra is a great organization, and I feel it's very comforting for me to be able to touch people's lives in a country where I have been born, I have been brought up, and a country where they provided me with free education, and I feel it's our turn to give back in a different way, and I feel Akshaya Patra is a great mode for us to do that.
This is the first time you are attending Akshaya Patra event, fundraiser. What got you attracted to Akshaya Patra?
Well, my parents have always talked to me about it, and how, because I've been brought up in a very privileged society, and how there are many people across the world, especially in India, who are hungry and also don't receive as good an education as I do. So I believe it's important to help them out.
How often you visit India, or when was the last time you went to India?
Maybe 2 years ago.
2 years ago. So did you see the children going to school?
I did, yeah.
Okay. So what was your first impression there?
Well, it's different because they have to walk to school usually, which is not what I do. And they're all wearing uniforms, so that's also different. But it's also very similar because they all get food there, they learn, they come back home, and they study. So it's similar.
So what do you think Akshaya Patra can do in India?
Well, they can, because some of the kids who go to school there, that is the only meal they receive in the day, because they don't know whether they will get food on their plate that day, and that's very important to help with their education, because if you're hungry, you don't tend to learn as well.
And one thing, if you can change in education of kids in India, what will be that one change you will make?
That everyone would be able to receive free education. They would all get food that they need to
And it was roughly 2004 or 5 when I got involved because of the program that we're doing in India. And it was very fascinating to me. It was fascinating to me for two reasons. One was just the commitment and the ability of the organization to take on a challenge that big. At that point, the goal was to feed 1 million children, which sounded like a very, very large number. But they had the capability. They had not only the aspirations, but a way to get there. And also the cause itself was very compelling. When you educate a child and the child gets educated, it's something where a family can transform forever, because now that child will not become an unemployed adult and become a problem for the society, but becomes a real asset. And therefore, the mission of Akshaya Patra, where you want to educate children but also make sure that they're not hungry, is as noble a cause as I can think of in terms of creating impact in this world.
Well, I hope to, when I get a job and I start earning money of my own, I hope to give back to Akshaya Patra so they can help feed the children of India. I'd like to do it for both genders, but especially for girls, because a lot of them do not receive an equal education as the boys do. So it is extremely important, especially for Akshaya Patra, to help them as well.
So when I got involved with Akshaya Patra, what impressed me most about Akshaya Patra was that, I was new to the non-profit world, and the big difference I found between the for-profit and the non-profit world is that the for-profit world always has execution capabilities. You have to execute in the for-profit world because there's a lot of competition. In the world that all of us live in the competitive world, you blink and you're dead. You lose your business. And therefore, execution excellence is absolutely given in the for-profit world. However, a lot of the for-profit companies can lose their compassion. They can lose their concern for the employees, for the environment, for the customers they live in. Whereas the non-profit world, on the other hand, always starts with compassion. But sometimes they don't have the capability to execute. And so I was very interested in trying to see if we could find a way to bring the execution excellence of a for-profit company to the non-profit compassion, and maybe bring a little bit of the compassion from the non-profit world back to the for-profit companies. And Akshaya Patra was just a fantastic candidate to actually see if this can be done. And over the course of the last 10 years that I've been involved with the organization, I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed with where they were and where they are today. So today they're feeding 1.5 million children every day, and their ability to attract people like Narayan Murthy, like Nitin Noria, like Farid Zakaria, like Deepak Chopra, and a whole bunch of people leading executives in India. And all these people, they set a very different benchmark for this organization. And the organization has the ability to actually step up. Every time there's a good idea to do something better, where you do something cheaper, better, faster, or more nutritious, they actually take the idea and do it. It's very much like if you want to survive in a company, you have to do 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. You have to be continuously innovating and improving what you have. Otherwise, you don't survive in the marketplace. That is not a concept that exists in the non-profit world, but I'm so impressed with Akshaya Patra that they have consistently, in spite of all this inflation in India, have managed to keep the cost low. So for $30, they feed a child for the whole year. And work with the government to increase the budget of the government so that there's smaller and smaller burden on the donors to support the midday meal program. And so also, I think just the fundraising organization where they're now raising these funds from thousands and thousands of people, not only in US, but also in India, and also work with the government. Most of the nonprofits don't believe that they can work with the government. I'm so impressed that Akshaya Patra works so closely with the government that last year, out of the 300 crores of budget they had, which is close to $40 million, half the money came from the government. So 20 million came from the government. In US, we raised about 4 million, and the other $16 million were raised in India. So just the ability to mobilize so many different well-wishers has been amazing. And it's amazing not just because of the fundraising capabilities, but because of the impact. You know, people get drawn into this thing, and then they contribute money, they contribute their expertise, their talent, their encouragement, and it's just a fantastic experience to be associated with this organization and see that impact. And every time I think about the fact that just as we're speaking, there are people cooking 1.5 million meals every day and serving children is just an amazing, amazing feat. But I also know this is not the end of it. Akshaya Patra is totally committed to make sure that all the 100 million children in India who go to school every day will get a good meal. Either the program is trying to step up to 5 million children every day, but not only just the 5 million children that they serve, but also influence the other organizations, the other government program, so that all the 100 million children will get a nutritious, good meal, and there'll never be a child in India who is denied of education because of hunger.